Hello, CQ. Hello, CQ. CQ, the Old Friends Net, time for the Thursday edition of the Old Friends Get Together. This is W4MEC, your net control, verified by the calendar for Thursday. The Old Friends Net meets 3 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m. The frequency is always the same, 3715 plus or minus vintage gear, and this net is, while focused on vintage gear and the restoration and operation, anybody that can generate an AM signal is welcome to join. Amplitude modulation is the only acceptable form at this net. This net is also carried out in the old-fashioned roundtable fashion. I'll take check-ins a couple times throughout the net and see if anybody else wants to join us. It's great. If you got something to sell or something you're looking for, or maybe some information, this is a great place to ask or offer. So for those wishing to participate, please give W4MEC a call and come now.
Good morning, Mr. Charlie, WA4LLR.
N4LQ.
K4GDN.
WB4ARK.
WB4NKL.
I heard somebody try a couple times, but nothing stayed hot. Let's see. So far we got Dave, WA4LLR, Steve, N4LQ, George, K4GDN, Buddy, WB4ARK, and Cliff, WB4NKL. Who else? Splatter up, the band doesn't count. So, one more time, this is the short group here. Everybody's probably got all their ducks in a row. And LLR, then LQ, GDN, ARK, and NKL is the rotation so far. And good morning. It's 32 degrees here and overcast. Doesn't look very nice out there sky-wise. And after the net, we'll be heading down to lunch there. I haven't heard from Carl, but I got to call him on his phone, make sure he's going to go, and run down to his place and pick him up. And it makes for a big loop there. It's the time from his house to the lunch is about the same as my house to the lunch. I guess the actual geometry of the thing is a giant isosceles triangle. Is that what's equilateral triangle? That's what I'm trying to think of. And no matter which way I go, well, it's a long time there going by Carl, but it's nice to have somebody to ride with there. And making comments about the changing scenery between his house and Spartanburg, with the weird things they're building, the houses, and I have to throw this in there on this first start. They're building this weird set of buildings, and we've been watching them from the point they cleared the ground until they got them ready to go. They're all identical. They're all Butler-style buildings. They all have a giant garage on one side, and an office with a glass windows and a glass push-in door. And there's 2 of those to each Butler building, and there's 6 of them. And they're all identical with a giant. When I say giant, I mean, it's got a huge roll-up garage door on it. So we have not figured out what that is and why they needed basically 12 of them to be all identical to each other. So maybe one day they'll put a sign up. So WA4LLR in the group, W4MEC.
All righty then. W4MEC and the group. WA4LLR, good signals from everybody today. On the rig I don't use very often, a Viking Valiant, and receiving on the S76 Hallicrafter big S meter. 28 degrees, a few snow flurries, and about an inch of snow on the ground that we got sometime in the early morning hours. We had, yesterday was a pretty good day, even though it was foggy and damp, because we had a lot of snow melt going on, and able to get the car up and down the mountain, which is a good thing. First time it'd been off in about 2 weeks, so didn't like to see the white stuff come back. But it's still February, so what can we say? Other than that, not a whole lot going on. Not going to be able to make the luncheon because Irvina has jury duty this week. So that will be missed. I'm sorry we can't make it. Hope everybody has a great time down there. So Steve, how are things in Shelby? N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Yeah, WA4LLR, N4LQ, and good morning, everybody. Yeah, just sitting here reading about Isosceles, that Greek philosopher that Charlie mentioned. I never really knew much about him until now. I just looked it up. Anyway, it's 32 degrees here, and we had some flurries a while ago, but I don't think it accumulated. Just kind of made wet spots on the driveway, and got another trip planned to Gastonia today to take the XYL in for her after surgery appointment. And the cataract surgery went well, and I haven't talked to her this morning yet, but I think she's doing okay. So I'm on the 32V3 and the 75A4 this morning. So over to George, K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the groups, K4GDN. Good morning, everybody. It's in the low 40s here in Myrtle Beach. It's been raining since late yesterday. It's overcast. It's supposed to clear up and get a little colder. We're running the helicopter station this morning. The 32B about 10 watts to the 811 linear, I guess, putting out about 125 or so carrier, and receiving on an SX100. And speaking of helicopters, I would be interested in trying to put my hands on an HT45 linear to go along with this. And I would like to change receivers, go from the SX100 to the 122, which I think is basically an updated version of the SX100. I'm preferring the general coverage receivers over the ham band only type. And speaking of radios and things like that, the TV signal reception mystery has kind of gone away. Everything was coming in good Tuesday after I got off the radio. Not exactly sure why. Sometimes there's a little hesitation when it picking up some of the channels, but I'm getting all 4 of the education channels. And speaking of channels and things of that nature, the displays, the pictures that Brian had on of the old national radios was kind of interesting. The only national I ever had any work experience with was when I was in the Navy in the late 60s. The first ship I was on board had, I think, 1 or 2 of the FRR or WRR2s, however you want to call them, which were really a behemoth. I think with the cabinet they weighed close to 300 pounds, and they required an awful lot in the way of routine maintenance. We never really used them. We had R1051s for copying the fleet multiplex teletype signals, and you could put an R1051 on frequency and it would sit there forever, and there was virtually no maintenance for them. About the only thing you could do was occasionally, and I don't remember ever actually doing it on board the ship, change the tubes in the front end. That was supposed to make it immune to radiation problems. But the WR2s were what they had when I worked at the Atlantic Undersea Test Evaluation Center in the mid-70s in the Bahamas, and those things were really a pain to work on. I think we had like 65 tubes, and about every 3 to 6 months you had to retube them and realign, but it was really quite a mess. So that was my only experience with them. And speaking of the R1051s, if I could ever get my hands on one, I think I'd have it if it was working. They were nice receivers, not very good for listening around the bands, but when you put them on frequency, they tended to stay there. So after all that, we'll pass it on to, let's see, it goes to Buddy, WB4 ARK in the crew, K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4 ARK. Okay, George, very good signal. A little weak, but perfectly readable. And yeah, I had a lot of the Helicrafter units over the years, but none of the ones that you spoke about. Well, the weather here is overcast, 32 degrees. Supposed to have had some snow. The weather station's calling for it. Only it's not calling for it in a big way. It's calling for it in a small way, but we're still supposed to have some. Hadn't gotten any yet, so we'll wait and see. So that's about it for right now. So we'll turn it over to Cliff. WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, it's WB4NKL. Thank you, buddy. Got 28 degrees here and had a little bit of skiff of snow overnight. Nothing to, it just, you can tell where it did melt yesterday, where there was some clear spots on the driveway. It's white again, but not very deep. Won't make it to luncheon today. I've got to take the wife's got a doctor's appointment there about 10:30, so I've got to. She didn't want to get out and drive in this mess, so guess I would be driving her to Johnson City. Running the Babcock MT5 this morning. Got made it out to the shack here, and a little chilly in here, but I guess it's in the 40s, upper 40s, lower 50s. But I've got a jacket on, so I'll stick around here for another one. Back to you, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okie dokie, WB4NKL and the old friends group, WB4MEC, or WN4MEC. Well, I've covered both of my calls, and it's finally W4MEC. All right, so I was a WN, WB, and a W, so I don't know why I went through that. I was looking over here at the window at something, thinking about something else and talking. That can usually get you in trouble. So, let me see. Anybody else like to join us? Give me a call. I heard a tuner upper there on top of Steve, and sounded like one of those pulsar things there, so thought somebody would be in the standby mode, but they're not. Again, this is W4MEC and the old friends net, so yeah, getting ready to head out here a little while and make the lunch. Brian's bringing me a couple things to look at, and I don't know why I get attracted to these odd moving coil receivers, but I always have been. And I had one many years ago when I was a new ham. I can't even remember where I got it. I know what it was. It was it was Super Pro. It was an old Super Pro that I paid $12 for. And I got it in my town. We had a fellow, W4HFZ, I think. No, FWZ, got it right, W4FWZ. And he had a little shop way up on the north side of town, and actually it was on the same road that most of the electronics part houses were on. And none of them were big. They were just kind of converted houses. But there was 3 or 4 of them on that road. And he was up there too, and he had all kinds of ham gear, used gear, and ham odds and ends, and he had that Super Pro in there, and I had $12, so and it worked pretty good, and I had to repaint the front panel there, and that's when I learned about when the engraved front panel you can sand it and make it clean and all that, and then spray the engravings, not the engravings, route it out. I can't remember what you call it, you know, when the words are, engraved in the panel. And spray it and get those colors right, and then I covered it up with Vaseline, and then cleaned all the metal real well up to all that writing, made it good and dry, and then sprayed the panel, and then removed all the Vaseline. So I had a nice dark color panel with white writing there. So, and that was one of my first rebuilds there back in the 70s. So anyway, so that's how I ended up with that sliding coil Super Pro, and ever since then I've gone through several of them. So anyway, let's see. Let's start around again with Dave, WA4LLR, W4MEC.
All righty, W4MEC, and the net, WA4LLR. Good signals on everybody. Interesting on the $12 receiver and the paddle restoration. And Steve, hope everything goes well with follow-up for your wife's cataract surgery. And George, the Alacrafter station sounds good. It's not rock crushing, but easy copy. And let's see, buddy. Sorry you didn't get any snow. I'd certainly be glad to share some with you. And Cliff, hope Linda's doctor visit goes well, and the Babcock sounds good, as they always do. Well, let's see. Not a whole lot going on here today. Got to find out if they're still having court. Need to call up there and see if their wife needs to report for jury duty since the snow came in. But maybe they won't, and we can just all be lazy today. Space weather is still fairly active. Sunspot count's 166, solar flux index is 167, and the K has dropped down to 3. We were having the results of a CME, but it's kind of calmed down now, and conditions seem to be really good. This day in history is actually kind of boring. I was looking through it, and just a few things. This will tell you how boring it is. One of the first things that is reported is that in 1969, Tim Conway's sketch comedy show called Turn On was a colossal flop. It was so bad that one station in Ohio pulled it after 10 minutes. It never aired a second episode. Let's see what else is going on. Well, in 1883, Southern Pacific Railroad completed its route from New Orleans to California. That one was an interesting one. 1917, U.S. ended its search for Pancho Villa. On this day in 1919, United Artists Studios were created. 1934, Hank Aaron was born. On this day in 1941, Hitler told Mussolini to fight harder because he was mad because the Italian troops had retreated in the face of a British advance. And on this day in 2012, the husband of a missing Utah woman killed himself and 2 young sons. So that's about it from this day in history. Like I said, not a whole lot going on here. Don't have any projects I'm working on at the moment. Hopefully we're going to have some moderating weather that I can get a little antenna work done. I've got a rotor on my hex beam that's locked up or refusing to turn for some reason, and I need to let the tower down and find out what's going on there. So, Steve, back down to you. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. All right. I want to say that audio from that Babcock cliff is just awesome. Yeah, it's just so clean and crisp. Mine is sitting over here. I got involved with the Mars and got it working, and I've set it aside now. I'm going to build me. I've got to experiment some with a preamp for it though. Anyway, one of the things Charlie mentioned kind of caught my ear there was he mentioned a sliding coil Super Pro, and I've been trying to figure out what that is, because when I think of a sliding coil receiver, I think of the NC 100 series that had the gigantic catacomb that slid back and forth on the rails. And I think maybe you're referring to the variable IF, where the selectivity was variable from the front panel by adjusting I think it had a mechanism there to pull the cores in and out of the IF coils. Maybe that's what it is. And I'm not sure about the terminology of what that's called, but that was pretty neat, I'll say that. As George mentioned, he's looking for an SX122. I had one of those one time, and it was okay. It just seemed like a kind of a cheap version of a 101, and it had that 1600 KC IF in it. Well, I never could get the hum out of it, and I'm not sure why. It's been probably 20-some years since I had it, but I had trouble with the hum in the audio, and I'm not sure. I think I was trying to use headphones, and I could always hear the hum in the headphones, and I couldn't get rid of it. And usually I can, figure out a way around it, but that one just got the best of me. I'm not sure why. Anyway, I'll go ahead and turn it over to George. K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4LQ and the old friends, K4GDN. Yeah, the SX122, I believe, is basically an updated version of the SX100. They put the product detector in it and changed, I think, some of the AVC or audio a little bit when they put that in there. But other than that, I think that's basically what it was. It certainly looks like it, and from what I've seen in the circuit diagrams, that's about what it was. And speaking of Super Pros, I had one of the last ones the military had. This was in the early 70s. I retrieved it from the Pearl Harbor Navy salvage yard. I was working temporarily on the HF receiver bench at Motu 1 there in Pearl. And I got it working fine. It was in good shape when I got it. We had manuals on it. I did the alignment, but I neglected to send it home when I got out. I still had the military manual on it after I got home, but didn't send the receiver. It was a good receiver. It would pick up quite well, but it was big and it was heavy, and it was complicated. The mechanical, the band switching arrangement was really a big issue on it if you ever had problems. As I recall, it was sort of a rotary group that rotated with fixed contacts, making contact with the various components as you change bands. But it was a nice receiver when it was working good. And but like I say, I would like to get a 122, which is a general coverage receiver, and an HT45. That's the single 3-400 linear, just to complete the helicopter station. Other than that, not a whole lot going on here. It's overcast and in the low 40s, and we're expected to, I think it's going to clear off, and we're going to get a little bit colder later on in the week. But other than that, not much going on here. So with that, I'll pass it on to Buddy WB4. Like I said, mentioned the TV problem. I don't know what happened. I believe is something going on with the station, but I can't find that out for sure. Anyway, coming to you, buddy. WB4ARK in the group K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4ARK. Okay, George, and I'm glad you got your TV issues worked out. Let's see. Yeah, I had never had much experience with a sliding coil tuning system, except for the Collins. You might call that a sliding coil system. You got ferrites that slide inside of a coil. Anyhow, yeah, no snow here yet. Keeping my eye peeled though. I don't think we're going to get any. Probably the temperature is going to start going back up as the day goes on. But anyhow, we had an issue at Duncan's machine shop yesterday. Our air compressor, which is relied on quite heavily, went out. Ingersoll ran. It's over 15 years old. And I think I know what happened, but I'm not going to comment on that right now. But we are in the process of ordering a new one. So it's got to have an outside cooler on it to keep the moisture down to the machines. But we're kind of at a standstill at this moment, so we'll wait until we get the new one in. I get it connected up, and we'll be back in business. Well, that's it for right now, so we'll send it on to Cliff. WB4NKL, WB4ARK.
Okay, buddy. It's WB4NKL. Well, hope, Charlie, you have a good time down at the luncheon today. And Carl, I guess you're the only one out of this group that'll be there, sounds like. But maybe I have a pretty good attendance. It sounds like Brian's bringing some trading material. I wonder who. I seen somebody claim the Rangers. I wonder who got a hold of the two Rangers that he had. I didn't need any more. I think I've got 3 laying around here, but I was curious about who got them. And I've had the Hammerlin. I've got the SP, I guess it's a SP10 or one of the early Hammerlin receivers. But when I think, I'm like Steve, when I think of sliding coil, I think of that tray that's in the national receivers. But Hammerlin, I know the SP600 used a Tarrant, and I can't remember what exactly how the earlier Hammerlins were set up, the SP series, but they're good old receivers. Guess I'll make this my last and get in and warm up a little bit. Like I say, it's a little chilly out here in the shack, but thanks for calling it today, and like I say, have a good time at the luncheon. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Couldn't flip the switch. My finger kept slipping. Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL and the old friends, W4MEC. Anybody like to join us? Come now. Okie dokie. W4MEC and the old friends net. Yeah, TV problems. You know, Channel 13 here, I've never been able to pick them up. I mean, if I stand on my roof and the leaves are off the trees, I can almost see the antenna on top of Pisgah when they were there. And I could never pick them up. I even put up I had a directional antenna, I could finally get them. Well, you know, the environmentalists went south on the Channel 13 and made them get off of Pisgah. So they put their antenna and transmitter on another mountain, and now they're even less. They're even less copyable. And when they went to digital TV, I actually got absolutely nothing. I mean, I got a pixelated picture off of Pisgah And I don't get them at all now, so I gave up on them. Now, South Carolina, they come in like gangbusters. I don't know what it is about 13. It is the last channel in the high VHF part of the TV band before it jumps to UHF, I think, or is it 13? No, let's see. Or is it 14? No, it is. That's the last channel on the upper high VHF. So, right below the ham band, 214 to 220, something like that. It used to be 6 megacycles wide. Anyway, or it was down a little bit, 212 to 218. Anyway, but can't pick them up yet. And let's see, interesting about the compressor. I know in an outfit like yours there, buddy, that thing's probably the first thing you turn on in the morning if you even bother to turn it off. So I just remember old garages when they first opened up. That was the first thing you hear was that compressor coming on, and when they opened for business every day. I'm thinking back that maybe it wasn't a hammer-on with when I said moving coil, I was just duplicating Brian's description of it. It is the honeycomb coil box that slides back and forth and makes contact. And I kept thinking there was a hammer-on that did that, and now I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I can't remember what receiver I had that had the moving coil in it, and back then in that era. So I just assumed it was that hammer-on, but now I'm starting to think it wasn't. But I have an SP10 on the bench right now. Actually, it's been sitting on the bench for several months on the side bench. And that particular project does not have anything sitting on top of it. I have a couple projects with things that are stacked on the bench that I have to work my way down through. But I'm almost done with it, but I'm down to the section. I've got 2 circuit boards I got to open and take loose so I can get down to the tubes underneath them there on the chassis and change out some .05s, I think there are, wax capacitors that are all leaking. And I've done all of it except the last 2 stages, and the receiver has come alive so far, but I think the last 2 stages of the audio and maybe the BFO, I don't remember, but that I can't get to. So everything's working fine so far and sounds really good, but I just have not been able to get back to that project and finish it off. So the Derns TCS project is sitting out on my bench with the IF can opened up, and I still haven't put the Dern 50 picofarad capacitors in it. So I tell you, everything has gone kind of south. But I got a legit excuse because it's been so darn cold in my shop, and even let's see, even with my electric heater, it'll warm it up pretty good, but not like the kerosene, and I haven't been motivated to fire that up much, so we'll get there eventually and finish those projects, maybe in spring. So, let's see. You kept mentioning snow, and I never looked out the window. And I walked out there and said, good grief, I got about like a half an inch of snow on the ground. And I'm looking at the weather radar right now, and there's a line from this area to, I don't know, somewhere to some of those cities up northeast, I don't know, one of them big towns, and it goes all the way over, and we're through the very bottom tip of it, and there's a lot more of it to come, so I hope I can make it to the darn lunch. All right, WA4LLR in the group, W4MEC.
All righty. W4MEC. WA4LLR. Well, 7-3 Cliff, have a good one. And yeah, this is the year we return to our snow season, evidently. Well, gentlemen, I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to slip out of here and go in search of some breakfast. Thanks for calling it, Charlie, and be careful heading down to the Golden Corral in Sparkle City. And hope you guys have a great lunch, and hope you got a good crowd. But I know there's several that usually go that aren't today. So, Lord willing, we'll catch up with you on Sunday. So I'll say 7-3, God bless, and Steve, take it away. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
Okay, N4LQ. Yeah, Charlie, the old HRO had the, as you know, the plug-ins, and they put all those in that catacomb, they called it, underneath the chassis in a miniature form, and then slid them back and forth past the contacts. And, well, my first receiver as a novice, my first real receiver, was an NC100, and that and my DX20. I paid $25 for that pair, and that had the moving coil or sliding coil, a catacomb that slid back and forth, and you would turn the band switch knob. It took about 2 turns to change bands, so you'd crank that thing quite a bit, and that worked pretty good, really, and it was fairly easy to align. But Super Pro, I think it's just got some kind of rotary switches underneath for band switching. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've ever taken one apart or not. Anyway, you guys, hope you all have a good time at the luncheon, whoever shows up, and let's hope the snow doesn't cause any problems on the highways. And I think Brian and John, Chicken Liver John, they're heading down there together, and they'll probably bring some fine pieces of equipment there to sell. So it's not much more here. I'll hang around to the end and see if anybody's left, and we'll say I won't say 73s. That's too dangerous. I'll still be here. K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4LQ, K4GDN, yeah. I'll do the same thing here. And, yeah, sliding coils, I don't know. That's one thing about the HROs. You slide the drawers in and out, and that does seem to kind of clean the contacts, maybe. Haven't had any trouble with mine. And like I say, I've got a 5A1 that I've had for some time, and then I've got a 50T1. And both are nice receivers. Anyway, I don't have much else going on here. Like, I don't have any projects underway right now, other than I do have to change the ignition coil in my generator whenever it comes in. I've got an old Coleman Power Max generator. I think it's a 4.5 kW generator. The ignition coil went out right before the storm, and it's a magneto thing with some sort of solid state encapsulated coil that runs the ignition. I'm supposed to get it in. It's supposed to be delivered here. Got it off Amazon. Anyway, I'll stick around to the end, and thanks for calling the net, Charlie. Appreciate you getting in there, and hope the weather doesn't give you too much of a problem. Sorry I won't get to the luncheon today. So, buddy, if you're still in there, it's coming to you. WB4ARK in the group, K4GDN.
K4GDN, WB4ARK, okay, George, very good copy that time. And I must report that we still have no snow. I was hoping we might have some, but none yet. So, Charlie, thanks for calling the net, and hope everybody has a great time at the luncheon today. I won't be there. So, anyhow, over to Charlie, and I guess this finishes the Thursday edition of the net. So, W4MEC, this is WB4ARK.
Microphone. Okay, WB4ARK and the old friends W4MEC. My microphone just fell off my table and landed on the ground here. I was hoping it would work, and it didn't stretch the cable most of the time when it does something like that, it stretches the cable and breaks the wire on an MC99 plug. I think that's the number. Do we have any check-ins that would like to join us for the last round here? W4MEC, give me a call. Be that way then. Okay, W4MEC and the last two in the old friends net. So I'll say 73s to Dave and Buddy, and I forgot to say 73 to Cliff. So what else do I have here? The comment about the rail line from what, New Orleans to I guess the coast, was it Union Pacific? I forgot who he said now, but it's interesting of the battle royal that was still going on in New Orleans about passenger traffic through that area because of the trackage is so backed up. Freight trains will block the main line for hours trying to get into the yards because there's so much traffic, and it holds up Amtrak, and they've been trying to negotiate how to get around that. They wanted to build a new line, and then it's the not in our neighborhood, whether not NIOB groups were up in arms about the routing Amtrak to rebuilding and improving a particular slightly used line in existence, and getting Amtrak on it, and the neighbors went through the roof, and I don't know how that ever resolved. It's one of those stories you read about a couple of times over the year, and then it just disappears, but I think they forced them to accept it, the law did or something, but, and yeah, George, you got stuff coming on Amazon. I do too, but it's all been delayed by the storm. You hit the tracking option, and it says, we're sorry, due to weather, inclement weather, your package will take a little longer. And I got a couple things that haven't gotten here yet, and it's been over a week since I ordered. But the king of things is I found a control box for these old CDE rotors I've got. I got the right control box, and I got it out of Canada, and I ordered that thing probably a month ago, and it's still en route. It's supposed to be here like on the 8th. You know, it's got tracking. It's coming this way, but Canada must be mad to still, all mad at us still, and even the people won't send us stuff in a timely manner, where they pick slow boat to China moving services to ship you something. So hopefully it will get here before I don't need it any longer. So we'll do a quick 73 round with George and Steve if they're still there, and we'll shut her down. N4LQ, W4MEC.
Yeah, okay, Charlie. Hey, speaking of Amazon, I did some research on their shipping, and just recently they have totally dropped the 2-day thing for Prime. A 2-day delivery is out the window. They have gone to 5 to 7 days, and so that fast shipping that we so enjoyed is a thing of the past. And everything I order, everything I look at online, they're showing 5 days out, and it's like going back to the Sears catalog or something. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So I've been getting some things from Walmart quicker now. They're doing a better job. So we'll say 73s, and y'all have a good time. And I'll turn it over to George. K4GDN. I want to comment on your TV. I think there is a channel here that always comes in real strong, except for one of the sub-carriers, the sub-channels, which is the Western, the Grit channel, is always weaker. And like I said the other day, it's got a slower bit rate, and apparently if there's a foggy or a misty day or something and the signal is marginal, you don't notice that on the strong signal. But the Grit channel is totally blank. There is nothing there whatsoever. So, and that's what happens. K4GDN, N4LQ.
N4LQ and what's left of the old friends, K4GDN. I did a little research on the multi-channel TVs, and some of the sub-channels aren't as powerful as the primary or the .1. And they also mentioned that in some cases they're using different antennas for some of the sub-channels, which is kind of strange. But anyway, there does seem to be some issues there. And you're right about the some of the sub-channels are high definition and others aren't, and that seemed to be an issue sometimes picking them up. So with that, I'm going to say 73. Thanks for calling the net, Charlie. And everybody have a good day, those that are traveling. So I guess back to you, Charlie. I think Buddy already signed out. W4MEC K4GDN. Thanks, Charlie.
Okay, George, K4GDN and the group W4MEC. All righty. One thing about DTV versus the old analog, you know, when you looked at the analog on a scope, you would see, of course, your sync pulse, your horizontal sync pulse, and your vertical sync pulse, and the video in between. And sometimes when the video was very light scenes, it was not much there on the scope. And the actual peak power, I always wondered about the peak power, the difference between modern DTV and the old analog, because DTV is like a block of signal there across the bandwidth, whereas the other one would have quite a bit of variation in signal strength. And I wondered if it was truly more cost-effective than old analog transmitters, but I don't know. Take a TV engineer to answer that one, but just looking at what it looks like on a spectrum analyzer, it's a little different. So we'll see you all later, and hopefully I'll make the lunch, and we'll catch up with you on Sunday afternoon. Thanks again for checking in. 7-3 all. W4MEC shutting down the old Friends Net. Bye-bye.